Hi and welcome to the aseptic technique video. In this video, we are going to learn the aseptic technique in details. Aseptic technique is derived from the word of asepsis, which means the absence of pathogens. Aseptic technique can be defined as a group of procedures that prevent contamination of microorganisms through knowledge and principles of contain and control. The purpose of aseptic technique is done before doing any laboratory activity are because first, to exclude contamination by establishing a strict code of practice. Second, to reduce the probability of infection by maintaining the sterility of the environment, equipment, and substances used. In this video, we are going through the elements of aseptic environment, sterile handling, standard operation procedure, and apparatus and the equipment used in the aseptic technique.
The first elements of aseptic environment is laminar flow. The workspace is protected from dust and contamination. A stable flow of filtered air passing over the work surface. There are two main types of flow, which are horizontal flow and vertical flow. For the horizontal flows, airflow flows from the side facing dust. The air is not recirculated. Horizontal flow hoods give the most stable airflow. It has the best sterile protection, but will blow aerosols into your face and are unsuitable for handling material, which is potentially biohazardous or toxic. For vertical flows, the air blows down from the top of the hood onto the work surface. The air either recirculated or vented. Vertical flow hoods give more protection to the operator. It is classified as a microbiological safety cabinet Class 2. A Class 2 vertical flow microbiological safety cabinet should be used if potentially hazardous material such as human or primate-derived cultures, virally infected cultures, and others is being handled. The second element of aseptic environment is quiet area, which consists of with laminar flow and without laminar flow. With laminar flow, we need to be free of draughts from doors, windows, no through traffic, no equipment that generates air currents such as centrifuges, refrigerators, and freezers. Activity in the area should be restricted to culture-related tissue. Animals and microbiological cultures should be excluded. Non-sterile activities such as sample processing, staining, or extraction should be carried out somewhere else. No equipment other than that connected with tissue culture, and air conditioners and plenums should be positioned so that the effluent air does not compromise the functioning of the hood. While for without laminar flow, we should separate sterile room should be used for sterile work. Pick a quiet corner of the laboratory with little or no traffic and no other activity. The third element of aseptic environment is work surface. Firstly, we need to start with a completely clear surface. Second, swab the surface with 70% alcohol. Bring onto the surface only those items you require for a particular procedure. Between procedures, remove everything that is no longer required and swab the surface down. Arrange your work area. Why do we need to do this? Because it is easy access to all items without having to reach over one to get another. A wide, clear space in the center of the bench to work on, and the laminar airflow will fill in a hood that is crowded with equipment. Do not allow your hands or any other non-sterile items to pass over an open flask or dish. Mop any spillage immediately and swab the area with 70% alcohol. Remove everything when you have finished and swab the work surface again. And ensure that the space below the work surface is cleaned out regularly at least once per week. The fourth element of aseptic environment is personal hygiene. Surgical gloves may be worn and swabbed frequently. Caps, gowns and face masks are required under good manufacturing practice. Do not forget to tie your hair if you have a long hair. Do not talk when working aseptically at an open bench. Only talk when working at vertical laminar flow hood with a barrier between you and the culture. And most important, wear a face mask when having flu and do not do any tissue culture during the infections. The fifth element of aseptic environment is the reagents and media. The wrapping should be removed outside the hood, and unwrapped bottles should be swabbed in 70% alcohol when they came from the refrigerator or from a water bath. And lastly, the element of aseptic environment is cultures. Imported cell lines should always be quarantined. They should be handled separately from the rest of your stocks, kept free of antibiotics until they are shown to be uncontaminated. The antibiotics should not be used routinely as they may suppress but not eliminate some contaminations and encourage poor technique.
Sterile handling is designed to provide a barrier between the microorganisms in the environment and the sterile cell culture. There are some procedures that need to be taken seriously. First, swabbing. Second, capping. Third, flaming. Fourth, handling bottles and flasks. And lastly, pipetting. Swabbing. Swab down the work surface with 70% alcohol before, during and after work, especially if there are any spillage during experiment. Swab all those things that coming from cold storage or water bath before using them. Capping. Capping cap should be covered with aluminum foil to protect the neck of bottle from dust. Flaming. Work close to the flame where there is an airflow. Do not let bottles open. Flame all the glasses, test tube and neck of bottles before opening and closing. If you want to put the screw caps on the table, put with the open side down on a clean space area. In laminar flow hood, do not use flaming because it will cause fire hazard and can damage the HEPA filter. Handling bottles and flasks. Do not keep the open bottle vertically. Keep it at an angle as shallow as long as the spillage not occur. Test tube rack can avoid the risking spillage the sample culture. In laminar flow, avoid the hand or any item come between an open culture bottles or sterile materials. Pipetting. First, always change the micropipette tips every time changing the sample. Do not use the same tips in different solution. Second, use different type of micropipette tips based on the suitable size sample to reduce experimental error. Do not use one type of micropipette tips for all the size of sample. Third, store pipettes vertically to avoid contamination. Do not store pipette horizontally with the tips still attached to the micropipette mouth. Warning! Avoid mouth pipetting since not all the sample that are using is safe from biological hazard.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nafahana binti Kamaluddin and I will further explain on the standard operating procedure. So, what is standard operating procedure? Standard operating procedure or SOP means a set of written and detailed instructions that document a routine or repetitive activity followed by an organization to achieve their specific goal. In addition, SOP is not only a matter of achieving goals, but also can reduce the risk that can occur upon the procedure or activities being conducted. There are several SOP that need to be followed when you enter a cell culture laboratory. Firstly, all personnel are required to ensure that the laboratory placard is displayed before commencing the next procedures. All personnel are required to read and follow instructions on practices and procedures before using those areas. The placard should be suitably placed in front of the door before the entry of the laboratory, inside the laboratory, and the placard also needs to be placed on the equipment so that users who enter the room can easily notice and understand the instructions given. Next, people who have immunocompromised or immunosuppressed and pregnant women are not encouraged to enter the laboratory. This is because a person with immunocompromised or immunosuppressed has a weakened immune system. Thus, when they are being exposed to foreign substance, their ability to fight against possible infection is reduced and their body will easily get infected. For pregnant women, it is concerned that any harmful chemical could come in contact with the mother that later will affect the baby. Thirdly, wash your hands before and after entering and leaving the laboratory using the soap provided by the laboratory office. Immediately wash your hands when they are stained with any chemicals or culture while you are handling it. When your gloves are dirty or torn, remove it and replace with a new one. Disinfect your hands with hand sanitizer or 70% ethanol to kill microbes and other contaminants. For the next point, there are several activities that are not allowed in the laboratory, such as eating, drinking, smoking, handling contact lens, and applying cosmetics. This is because the ingestion and chemically contaminated drinks are the source of chemical exposure. Meanwhile, cosmetic products have potential to absorb chemical vapor and dust. Next, the fifth point is mouth pipetting. Mouth pipetting is prohibited. Do not ever use your mouth to pull the liquid into a pipette. This action could lead to accidental ingestion by any harmful chemical substance or biological agents such as bacteria, virus, fungi, or other microorganisms and their associated toxins that later could affect on human health. In some point, it could lead to fatality. In addition, things that need to be worn before entering the laboratory are laboratory coats, gloves, shoe covers, and protective eyewear such as safety glasses or goggles. This precaution could prevent any accidental spills or splash of chemical hazardous or cell culture that can come into direct contact with our body. Another point is biological safety cabinets or BSC. BSC are enclosed, ventilated laboratory workspace areas designed to protect the user and surrounding environment from pathogens. It consists of exhaust air that is fitted with HEPA filter to remove hazardous agents such as virus and bacteria. Use biological safety cabinet to work in a sterile environment. Last but not least, disinfecting work area. Work surfaces must be decontaminated or disinfect on completion of work or at the end of the day and after any spill or splash of viable material with 10% of bleach. All cultures, stocks and other regulated waste must be autoclaved before disposal. Potentially infectious waste must be put in a container with a cover that prevents leakage during collection, handling, processing, storage, transport or shipping. Materials to be decontaminated outside of the laboratory shall be placed in a durable, leak-proof container which will be closed for transport. Lastly, report any spills or accidents. Spills and accidents that occur in the laboratory must be reported to the laboratory director, and the spill must be cleaned up and decontaminated with 10% of bleach immediately. Decontaminate contaminated equipment before it is removed from the facility with 10% of bleach or autoclave.
Apparatus and equipment in the laboratory need to be cleaned regularly. This way will help to avoid production of dust and prevent microbial growth in accidental spillage. Firstly is incubator. Humidified incubator is a source of contamination. It should be cleaned out regularly. All the contents, including rack, need to wash down by non-toxic detergent. The trace of detergent also need to remove with 70% alcohol. The fungicide also can be used to retard the fungal growth inside the incubator. So this is the way can be used to avoid contamination inside the incubator. Next is bulk cultures. Humidified incubator can cause to contamination all the enclosed dishes like plates and flasks with silicone caps in plastic sandwich box, easily to get contamination. The box should be swept before use inside and outside, and also need to allow dry in sterilized air. After the box culture is removed from incubator, it should be swept with 70% alcohol before